Back in 2022, I was in desperate need of a big adventure and decided I was going to drive all the way from my home on the east coast of Canada to the west coast of the United States and back. I spent a total of 4 months on the road full time, living out of my car in this tiny trailer. I spent months prepping for this trip and watched tons of YouTube videos on the perfect car camping setup and used that as inspiration for my build. And it ended up working pretty well. In this video, I'm going to give a brief summary of my setup and why I chose the things the way I did. This is my 2016 Subaru Outback. It's got the base 4-liter engine and didn't have to do too much to exterior upgrades. I did swap out for some all-terrain tires just for a little bit more grip off-road. And I did also switch out the rear suspension to something a little bit more stiff to accommodate the extra weight. And I also added a 2-inch hitch receiver and a 7-pin trailer connector. And honestly, this setup worked really well. I barely noticed the trailer on the highway. Moving into the back of the car, as you can see, I built this whole custom platform from plywood. Basically, I wanted to have a fully contained kitchen setup in the rear of my car, and I wanted to make the most of the space, so I built this sliding drawer. Inside the drawer housed all my cooking materials, so I would have pots and pans and knives and plates, and this was really nice as it gave me a really great working space to cook on or work outside. But then, as you can see here, I could open it up and there was my stove and all that stuff that just gets messy. So that was kind of the staple build in the back here. Moving on, this is my dry goods, like my food and stuff like that, non-perishables. And then on the left here, I have a 12-volt mini fridge. This is just the cheapest one I could find off of Amazon, and honestly, it worked amazing. This would keep all my goods cold, and it sipped battery power, so really great. As you can see there, you can set the temperature, and it has a little digital gauge, so highly recommend. Moving on to the front, on the driver's side, as you can see, I removed the rear seats and built this whole storage container. This was basically just so that I have a safe place to lock up my laptop and camera gear and passport if I was on a longer hike in the backcountry. I don't know how actually secure it is, but it was kind of hidden, so I was more just hoping no one would find it. Moving on to the passenger side, it's just more storage. And as you can see too, on the top of this, I carpeted the whole thing just to make it a little bit more soft to touch. But as you can see, I built this hinge on the top here so that I could push the front seats all the way forward and extend the platform out to give me about, from top to bottom, about 78 inches. So the idea behind this was that if I had to sleep in my car, I had a place that was relatively comfortable. As you can see, there's not a ton of headroom, but I'm 5'8", and this gave me tons of room. It was about 30 inches wide, so I didn't have to move much around, and it was a good backup plan if I was somewhere maybe that I couldn't get the trailer down a dirt road or something like that. Powering the whole thing is my Jackery 500. This thing worked awesome. I could charge cameras. This is what the fridge primarily ran off of. And as you can see here, while I was driving, it would just plug into the car and then fill the battery up. And when I was parked, I could also plug it into the trailer's battery. And that brings us to the trailer. This is a 2009 Little Guy RT. It is a reverse teardrop trailer, so that means there is no kitchenette. It's basically just sleeping quarters. So it's super lightweight, really nimble down the road, and it was a perfect match for my Subaru. I added this 150-watt solar panel, and the idea behind this was that if I was camping somewhere in the backcountry or in the wilderness for a week, I didn't have to turn my car on to charge my setup. So this worked really, really well. I never ran out of power. In fact, my battery was fully charged at the end of every day. So that was really good. Moving on to the rear of the trailer, you can see that there is a window on each side and then a door in the very back. All these windows could open up, and then I could turn the 12-volt fan on the roof, and it was almost like having AC in there. I found it quite comfortable. It was never too hot. I also switched out all the lights on the trailer for LEDs. These would just sip power, so they worked out great. Moving on to the inside, you can see there's tons of storage. You'd sleep at your head at the back end, and you would tuck your feet under the front there. This guy would sleep 2 people. I think it was about the size of a double or queen size bed. I would usually just flip the mattress up on its side into like a single bed, and then that gave me tons of room to work. So yeah, that's my setup. I lived on the road 4 months like this. Hoped you enjoyed watching, and if you have any questions, let me know down below in the comments. Consider subscribing too. I've got more content coming this year, so again, thanks for watching.